Welcome to Newrealities. This is Alan Steinfeld, and this program is about the evolution of consciousness. And that means that we are fundamentally shifting as human beings. We're awakening to new parts of ourselves, and people all over the planet seem to be realizing that there's more going on here, that we're transcending the old beliefs, the old paradigms, the old spiritual and religious frameworks, and we're awakening to who we've always been. And this is happening globally. And I get really excited when I meet people who've had this fresh awakening because, me and a lot of other people have been doing this for a long time, and it's been gradual. And then, boom, overnight, someone says, I've seen auras and spirits and spaceships. And it's like, really? Overnight? And it's true. It's true. The vibration of the planet is shifting in a way where people are accessing more of this awareness. And really, overnight, they are progressing on a spiritual path where it's taken other people maybe lifetimes or maybe 20 years meditating. So that's why I'm talking tonight to my good friend, Val Tignini. Hi, Val.
Hi, Alan.
I know. Well, we can tell a little bit of your story, but I also want to get into what happened to you this weekend. But just for people who don't know you, go into a little bit of you're sort of a normal woman, you're an actress, and then, somebody invites you to this workshop in New York, which I happen to be at as well, actually organized it. And then your life changed. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I went there because I had just broken up with my fiance at the time. I was pretty down in the dumps. And that night actually was my reality show was airing.
Mm-hmm.
So
what was the name of your reality show?
It was called Bama Bells. It was on TLC.
Okay.
And it was the second night actually of the show. And I was still just, I should have been feeling like I was on top of the world, but I still felt like, God, what is missing? And that's the main reason why I broke up with my fiance, because I just couldn't tell what was missing.
But you knew something was missing. You felt like if you would have married this guy, it would have been all over, and then boom, that's yeah.
On paper, and he's the guy. He's a great guy. It's just there was something missing for me, and I knew it wasn't him. And I kept telling him, it's not you, it's me. And it sounds so cliche, but it was. So I ended up at this workshop by accident, if you want to call it that. Ashim, who is now my partner, he invited me to go. And it was just through a friendly email chat. I never really knew Ashim that well. And I never even knew anything about energy or chakras, or I hardly, I never meditated. I just didn't do anything of that nature. And so when I went there, I thought that Abdi was going to do slides.
But he didn't tell you anything. He didn't tell you it was like an energy activation workshop.
No, he did send me a link, but I didn't go to the link.
So you just went to sort of escape your breakup and just check out something new, and
yeah,
you didn't go with any idea that this would change your life.
Exactly. I mean, I know she says something like, "This will help you with your work" or something, and it'll help you expand your awareness. I was like, okay. I just thought it was some sort of workshop that this guy's going to talk and give you some sort of advice, but it wasn't like that. So of course, Abdi, Mr. Mysterious, he doesn't say much before he even starts the transmission, and of course, I was just looking around and judging people, and what am I doing here? And I was such in a funk.
I have to also say your mother and sister were there too, weren't they?
That's right, they were. I dragged them there, although they actually wanted to come to support me, but also out of curiosity too. So
I just want to say, Abdi, electricity. He's like an energy. He transfers energy. I mean, I like him. I feel the energy. I didn't feel what Val felt, but I liked the energy. And it's very pleasant, very healing. Lots of people come, and he looks at them, and they passes and kind of transfers energy. And a lot of times people just fall down or people
Yeah.
catch them, but it's powerful in that way. So yes, then what happened to you?
So, actually, in retrospect, I think I was already feeling the before even Abdi came up to me, because as soon as he went, he was already doing the work. The room was already filled. He had a session before that, so I was feeling a little weird. I just couldn't know. I didn't know what was going on. So, but he did. He went left to right. My sister, my mom, and then me. By the time he got to me, he just stood in front of me and he blew on my face, and I fell back.
Mm.
He didn't have to touch me.
What were you feeling when you fell, or was that just involuntarily falling back?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, it was like the best feeling in the world.
Really?
No, it was the first time, right? So I just remember like not all my thoughts, all my worries, everything that I was feeling just blew away.
Wow.
Like with Abdi's blow on the face, it blew away all that away from me. And so that I fell back. I was like, oh, okay, there we go. And I'm watching myself. I wasn't just, I was observing, but I was also having conversation with myself. So immediately my toes started burning and heat started rising from my feet to my ankles, to my knees, and they started shaking as well. So I was talking to myself. I was saying, whoa, what is going on? Why can't I keep my feet still? Why are my feet so hot? Why are my legs burning? It's like I was talking to myself, but then this other side of myself said, no, Val, just go with the flow. Mm-hmm. And I was like, who's that?
Wow. And then I mean, just from my observation, because I was sort of laying on the ground near you, you sort of started to bounce off the floor. You were like,
yes.
What happened? What was going
on? So basically, once the energy got to my chakras, my first chakra, I started having experiences there. So flashbacks of my birth, of my childhood. Being connected with my brothers and sisters. I saw how, how I hurt my siblings through my own pain. I went through a lot, like in each chakra. So then the second chakra was my relationships, and I saw how all of my relationships I was hurt, and I hurt them, and it was a back and forth thing, and so that was like a lot to do with my female and male relationships. Then I'm giving you a fast forward, right?
I know it's okay. But
then my third chakra, my sacral chakra, solar plexus, I had an ulcer, and so it immediately healed my ulcer. I could literally feel the energy moving around in that spot, like I was having an operation.
Wow.
Yeah. So then once that was done, I felt it in my heart. And when I went into my heart, it was like heart explosion. Literally, I felt like my heart exploded into energy, and became one with everyone around me. And I started hearing voices. Like, you are love. Love is all around you. And and a lot more. And just I don't want to go into details. But
you were pure love. You felt but your body's also vibrating at that point, right?
Oh, completely vibrating, shaking. Mind you, this is a very slow process. This was very slow, although for me it felt like 10 minutes. It was a 2-hour.
Yeah.
Was it 2 hours?
It was a 2-hour session, yeah.
Was it 2 hours that time? Yeah? Yes. Okay, yeah. So it was a 2-hour session, but for me it felt like literally 10 minutes. By the time, so it
But
got
you're
past.
also making sounds. You're making a lot of
Yes, yes, sounds. I was screaming. I was crying. Mind you,
Why were you screaming? Was that uncontrollable? What's going on?
uncontrollable because energy is so strong. The energy is so strong. It's like you're being electrocuted. And it's
Wow.
funny because Abdi's last name is Electricity.
That's not why you're being electrocuted, but he ignited something in you. I call it the Kundalini, but people call it
Okay.
whatever it is.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, let me go back to let me just get to the part. We got to the throat, and then I start feeling taps on my shoulder, literally like physical feelings now. Now, in the heart chakra, I heard a voice telling you are love and love is all around you. It was like a masculine voice. Now, the whole time when I was telling you, like, oh, Val, go with the flow, that was my own voice, right? So it
Right.
was like me talking to me, like my mind talking to my soul. But when I got to the heart, it was a masculine voice. I'm like, who's that? But then for some reason, I knew that. I know this sounds religious, but it wasn't in a religious way. It was Master Yeshua, Jesus Christ, and he
Uh-huh.
was telling me that, and I was like, he's here. I was like, okay, and I wasn't even religious. I was
Right.
just like, oh, how did I? But funny thing is, how did I know it was him? Just felt it. I don't know. I just felt it. And then it got to the throat chakra, and I started um, speaking in tongues for the very first time.
You did just
And
started to come out of you?
yeah, yeah, I was whispering it
Uh-huh.
because because still my mind was there, and I was like so embarrassed. I was like, what am I saying? you
You
know,
know what you were saying, but voices, language was coming out of your mouth.
definitely. I was talking in tongues like I knew exactly what I was talking about.
You did it. But I do have to say, I was watching you and I saw your mother looked over to you kind of concerned at this point.
yeah.
She did. She did. Oh my God. She did. She looked a little worried.
Yeah, I don't blame her. She's probably like, my daughter is possessed.
But it was I mean, you had amazing energy moving through your body.
Yeah, it just kept going too. And then it went once it got past my throat, it got to my third eye, and I started seeing geometric shapes. And at this point, like the eye was getting very dull. There was no more Val. Like I wasn't talking to myself anymore. And then once I got past that part, it got to my crown, and then I lost the eye. I was done.
You lost the individual. You merged. Would you
I
say?
merged. I just was gone.
Wow.
And that's the best place to be.
You were gone. And that was the first time you had that experience, huh?
Yes, that was the first time, and I had no clue what I was feeling. I had no idea what was going on.
But
But I just, yeah,
no, I was just saying, the incredible thing about that space, even though you've never had, I mean, at least in my case, even though you never had that experience before, it's very familiar space, that
yeah.
merging.
Oh, definitely.
And
It's home. I call it home.
it is. And when you get there, it's like, oh yeah, I remember this space.
Yeah.
And
Oh, definitely.
so how long? I mean, there is no time, but I mean, so it was 2 hours, but how long would you say you were in that infinite space for? I mean, when did you come back as Val?
I felt like I was in that space for hours. I really did. But then,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, I felt like my experience was like 10 minutes. So it was like you lose track of time and space.
But in a way, once you go there, in a sense, part of you never comes back, right? Would you say? Because now
Definitely.
you're connected to that space. You know it.
Oh, I know it very well. I could feel it right now, though we're having conversation. I can go into that space so easily.
But you came back, and were you completely changed at that? What when you came back to your sense of self?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, talk
Good
about that.
question. When I came back, I looked around and said, "Where am I?" Like seriously, I was just, and I was looking around at people, and I remember everybody was like kind of waking up, and I didn't want to get up. I didn't want to get up. I remember hearing Abdi's voices, "Okay, guys, you can get up now." I was like, no. It was like it was going back that tunnel. No, please. I
Wow.
want to stay here.
But
And so
but
I woke up and I was so upset that I had to wake up.
but
And
but your life had completely changed in that
yeah,
moment.
yeah. So I
That's
remember
a
my
miracle.
mom. My mom's so worried, and I was just like, I just wanted her to be at ease because I was, I was such in a peaceful place. I didn't want her worries to come onto me. And my sister was also worried, and
Yes.
my sister was actually angry. My mother was worried. My sister was angry.
What was she angry about, your sister?
My sister was angry. She was telling me like, "You were hypnotized. How could you take me to a place like this?" I'm like, I was looking at her. I was like, "No, no, please don't do this."
But I mean, this is why I do the program, because it's amazing that people who haven't had the experience just can't relate to it at all. There's no framework, and then people who've had the experience of something like that, you don't have to explain it. It's like
Hmm.
there's such a polarity. It's
There is.
for witnessing you. Somebody would think, well, she's just flipping out, and then other people would say, yeah, she's merging with the divine. It's. I mean, until your sister has that experience, and maybe she will, and maybe she won't. She won't understand it.
Well, she hasn't, but she's slowly starting to feel energy now, and so is my mom.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what? But getting back to you, so you get back into your body, into the play. What's
So I remember, people getting up and hugging Abdi, and my mind was working completely different at this point. I was like, oh, I guess I should hug Abdi. Meanwhile, I wasn't before that experience. I was not thinking that way. I was thinking like, oh, I'm not going to hug Abdi. I'm just not, or okay, I'll hug Abdi. It was more like it was more like, oh, okay, I'm just going to hug Abdi. I guess this is what people do. They hug someone after they do something like this, and do you know what I'm saying? Like
yeah,
it wasn't like a process in my mind. I was just doing it. Do you understand? My body was just going with the flow.
right. What year was that? Was that
2010.
2010? But you've seen Abdi since. You've had a lot of sessions since then. Is it
Oh
always that?
yeah.
Is it always that intense?
It's always different. And sometimes it's really intense and sometimes it's just very calm. Um, yeah.
But
And it's,
yeah.
yeah.
No, no. Go ahead. Tell.
Well, the energy works with you is, it gives you what you need. Right.
Hmm. But
So,
since that moment, I mean, you haven't needed Abdi to have other experience, like you've had
no.
lots of high spiritual experiences. Like tell us, like what?
Well, after that day with Adi, I would have Kundalini experiences every single day.
What does that mean? What does that look
So
like?
energy was running through me, and I would literally shake and shiver, and my body would like move like a snake, and it was like every day. So every day, energy was running through me to recalibrate my body and my mind, and connection with my soul to my body. It was every day, and I would have experiences every day with high beings. Sometimes I would have, I would say like a few times I had a few lower beings come in to me, and I had to perform some sort of exorcist.
You had to get rid of
But
the lower beings,
yeah,
but you were
yeah.
new to all this too. Did you ever think you were just going crazy, or did you knew it was true?
I didn't think I was going crazy because I had some support. I had Hashim to talk to, so he really helped me in that way.
Yeah.
That's how we became really close,
Yeah.
actually. But and there was an inner knowing, a very very deep inner knowing that I just knew. I just knew this was me.
But no,
I
I
just
think that's
knew.
a really important point that, people who are crazy, they don't have that sense of inner knowing.
Mm.
They're more extreme, but you were still aware of the world, but you were also tapping into these other levels of reality.
Definitely, definitely. And I was running my own company then.
What was your
And
company?
it was valsecrets.com, but it was a social network for women, and I would have events, and I was dealing with all kinds of, top shelf people in the fashion industry and in the jewelry industry, and I was dealing with like the television industry. It was all over the place. So it was very difficult for me to continue to have conversations on that frequency. It was like a very shallow types of conversations. A lot of it was untrue. I just couldn't deal. It like really just affected my whole being every time I would try to do some work.
It just didn't resonate with you at all, huh?
Absolutely not. Yeah. And I just wanted to end it. Like I actually wanted to kill it.
well, okay. But so if you want, there might be lots of things, of course, between now and 2000. It's 5 years, but you just kind of passed another sort of milestone. There was just another acceleration this past weekend.
Yes, yes.
But is there anything you want to say, between 2010 and 2015, just to catch us up to last weekend?
Alan, there's so much that happened. I don't know if I could even, encapsulate it. I just put it this way. Energy was constantly always running through me every single day of my life. I have all kinds of profound experiences, at least once a week, at least. Mm-hmm. And this is for 5 years straight. Even through my pregnancy, when I was still having profound experiences. And so, this past weekend I had a retreat upstate in the Catskill Mountains. Mm-hmm. And, I've become very intuitive. I wouldn't even call it intuitive. It's like, it's psychic, but it's beyond psychic. It's, I can tell you things that are going to happen before they happen. So like I like to say, you can press rewind on the day, and basically it seems like which one's the beginning or which one's what's the beginning and what's the end, because Val already said what she was going to do at the end of the day. It's already happened at the end of the day, but she knew exactly what was going to happen at the end of the day. So when I'm in that field, I can tell you exactly what's going to happen. So we went into the retreat, and I said, okay, guys, our sweat lodge got canceled. So we can do a few things. We can either go into our past lives. We can do a dream time session, or we can connect with ETs. So they all looked at me and they say, "Oh, we want to do all of them." I said, "Okay." And now,
but what was the nature of the workshop? Do you know?
The nature of the workshop was basically to go into higher frequencies, into the fifth dimensional reality, and connect with Source. That was basically the retreat in a nutshell. But I had all kinds of things planned. I did a bonfire ceremony. I did something called a spiritual shower, and then of course my typical sessions.
Right. Your typical sessions is also like a transfer of energy thing, right?
Right. So yeah, we didn't mention that during that 5 years, I actually was activated. When I went to an Abdi session, Abdi told me, I heard it myself. I said, Val, go ahead. It's time for you to heal now. And then not even 5 seconds later, Abdi comes up to me, and I thought it was my ego. I was like, oh my God, shush. And then Abdi comes up to me. He's like, oh, okay, you can go around and heal. And I was like, wow, I just heard that, and he's like, just do it. And I did it. And you were there too, Alan.
I was there. You looked good. You looked like you knew what you were doing. And
you were there too.
Okay. Actually, we have Amy on the line. Do you
okay.
No, but before we get to Amy, why don't you just set up what started to unfold? Or
yes.
You want to bring in Amy?
So, So I'll set it up. So, we had those three options that we laid them on the table. So we did a lot of, source energy work, the sessions, but then we did the bonfire ceremony. Then we did the spiritual shower. Then I did I call like kind of family constellation, but, going into this, healing the blocks that are there for you. And then we did past lives. I did a session where people can go into their past lives.
Right.
So everybody got to see something. They couldn't tell what it was. They're like, "Oh, that wasn't my past life. I saw a gray sky." One guy was like, "I saw a gray sky." Another guy was like, "Oh, I just saw records. I went to a record store." I'm just giving you an example.
Right.
This other girl was saying, "Oh, I saw skulls. I don't know why I was seeing skulls." So okay. So then into that evening, so then we went into that evening, and then we had started to do I was calling it homework, and all of a sudden he started chanting and toning, which we were doing in the middle of the day.
Wait, what is homework? What is homework?
Well, homework is I asked everyone to ask their closest friends or family to write down something that they need to transcend or work on.
Right.
And so that was the homework. And so they had to write down a piece of paper. They couldn't look at it until that day, until we worked on it. And so actually they couldn't look at it at all. It was passed around us, and we had to act out something for them energetically. And it was very, very powerful experience for everyone. So we did his homework, and all of a sudden he starts chanting and toning, and he's gay. So we were doing this thing, like going into his childhood, and something came out of him where his tones were very, like his power was coming in. And through that tone, he activated all of our toning, and all of a sudden, the field started to change, and
the field, like the vibration of the place itself.
Yeah, the vibration. We're in this room called the sanctuary. That's where we did all our work. So it's basically this octagon with half of the place is glass windows from ceiling to floor, and it's like it's kind of like placed on the mountain, so it looks like you're literally looking. You're like with the trees, as high as the trees. So like the tree tops. So it's really beautiful, and we did a dream time session where I sleep with everyone, and we do source energy work, and
sleep in the same room, and
we all
kind of you're all sort of dreaming together, right?
Right. So I was getting into Carl's toning. So he was toning, and we all started toning as well, and so we called in these beings. So
what beings?
Okay, so as we were toning, because I'm leading this group, I just I felt something. I felt a presence, and I look out the window and I see these lights, and I knew. I said, "They're here."
Were they ET beings or interdimensional?
So they're like, they look like fireflies, but they change and shift and morph. So they flash like fireflies, but they change, shift, and morph into different colors, into kind of like different. It's hard to explain on the radio.
Well, so should we bring Amy in and see what her?
Yeah, bring her in.
Oh, so Don, let's get Amy on the line. Want to get her experience? Okay, he's going to bring her in. Amy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. So, of course, you've been with Abdi. So I've heard some of Val's story. Do you want to talk about what happened that weekend when the energy started to come in?
Yeah, well, like Val was saying, they did look like fireflies, but
What did
the
you see?
difference,
Everyone saw the same thing? Yes.
yeah, we were all on the same boat. We were all, we all saw what was happening.
What did you see
um, mo,
exactly?
huh? What?
What tell us exactly what you saw.
So I saw what from my perspective, I did see like fireflies, but as soon as I like looked at them, I felt tingles in my brain, like on my head area, and that's how I knew for sure that they were higher beings because I'm not, like that energy just came through as soon as I looked at into like that way to the fireflies looking beings. They were beings, but they did look like that, like flashing little lights. And yeah, and it was after that point where we saw the flashing lights and we saw what was happening and we felt it energetically that we were in a different vibe. It was from there, like it just took us into this whole different journey that we didn't even expect. We didn't even know that was going to happen. I'm sure not even Val knew it was going to happen like that. So
What was
it
there a
took us by
message
surprise,
from
right?
was there some kind of
Huh?
message from these beings or what did you
What did you say? Sorry.
no what did you feel from them? What was the nature of the communication?
I felt a lot of laughter and a lot of oneness. It was a lot of, it was very beautiful energy, but very powerful. Um, it wasn't it wasn't soft. It was just very powerful energy, and as soon as they came in and they were speaking, because one of the soul risers, Ashim, was there, and he was channeling the beings, and as soon as they came in, it was just a lot of beautiful laughter and like that cosmic joke really like they're really connected to that oneness, so that's how it felt.
That's all. But did you get a communication too at all?
I understood what they were saying on a soul level. They were speaking a
Mm.
different language, and I was speaking back to them in my soul language, but I they were speaking about something that was happening in the dynamics of the group, really, and then speaking about oneness and.
Did you feel like it was an amplification, an acceleration of your frequency?
Oh my God, yes, there was a huge shift there in consciousness.
Like what? What do you
Yeah.
what are you are you shifted now? Do you feel like totally shifted?
Um, I feel like they were they came in and helped in the processes of Val's retreat. So they were helping, and I feel like a lot of the people in the group needed to see what they needed to see and experience it. And each
Mm.
person had their own experience with it.
Mm. Why do you think they're coming in now? What was it? Just that Val was at that frequency and was able to help other people get to that frequency, along with Abdi, of course, and everything else we've been doing. I mean, are they
I
here?
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they were just like helping, like coming like in and saying, "Hey, we're here. We have your back." And kind of like like just helping the group dynamic shift energetically and up it like up the frequency.
Mm. What do you get, Val? What's your impression of like why they came?
Um, many reasons. One of the reasons was to bring in a message of unity. Of They also wanted to clear a lot of our stuff. They saw that we were doing work and they wanted to clear our stuff, so they did it. They were successful.
Wait, what do you mean? How do you know? How do they clear it?
Um, you know, first of all, there were people there that were it's called channeling, or they were getting intuitive messages. I mean, these are people that have never even worked with energy in their whole life. They were just coming for relaxation, and they were channeling numbers and messages from them. They really like changed and shifted something.
Wow, that's amazing. So the overall message was oneness. I know that's like cliche, but when you feel it, it's a whole other
Oh
thing.
my gosh. What happens is when ETs come in, this is not my first time with ETs. The energy is kind of like, it seems very controlling. It's almost like you have no control over your body.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because their frequency is so much higher than yours, that you can't. It's almost like you have a weight on you, and so this frequency is so heavy. It feels like that you can't move. It's hard to explain. It really is hard to explain. I'm not. It's for me. I say things through experience, and this experience really sometimes has no words. And I see even Amy stumbles. She stumbles with what to say about it, because really it's very difficult to put words to this experience.
Right. But how do you know they're actually ETs or not higher dimensional beings? Or of course they could be both.
Yeah.
What exactly? How do you know this?
Okay, so during this introduction, they were channeling through someone there, and then they were channeling through other few people as well as myself. They were telling me that I had keys to open, so they would heat up a point in my body, let's say like underneath my rib, and it was killing me, like it was hurting, like someone was like twisting a point like under my rib. So it's like, okay, already, I know, and so the download was to me, open up a key in car. There's another guy there, and I go to him, and I had to point my finger underneath his rib, and I had to twist it open like I was literally opening up a door. And as we were doing that, he starts chanting this other, message, and that chant is toning into our bodies and recalibrating all of us. So I mean, I was telling people, like, I was telling them nobody would believe this. Nobody.
But I believe it, because so these beings are kind of infusing frequencies into you to help recalibrate your bodies. Is that it?
Yes, to that higher dimensional of reality, because they really want us. That was one of the main messages. They really want us to go into those higher dimensional realities. They said it's time. They were telling us, wake up, wake up.
What are these higher dimensional realities?
They weren't really explaining it. They were just saying.
What do you feel now?
For myself?
Yeah.
Higher frequencies, merging with the divine, merging with the, the place of where we came from, being able to let go of, emotional junk and pain bodies, and, all the stuff that human beings really love to hold on to, right? Fears and, all that stuff.
Do you feel that too, Amy? Was that your experience? Was Amy's?
My experience was more on a mental level. That like what I usually was thinking about before the retreat totally shifted after that experience into
Like, give
more
me
of an open mind.
like what were you
More of an
thinking
open
before
mind.
the like what were you thinking? Like what kind of stuff were you saying?
I don't know, like in my mind, like just what am I gonna eat later? Or like little like simple things I would like think about. And now I kind of my mind is shifting to not really thinking about like the minimal like the more basic things of human thinking. Like, oh, what am I gonna do later? Like, it's more in the present moment, and instead of horizontally, it's more like of like going straight up. I don't
And
know how to
so
explain it in
that's a
words.
permanent shift for you then, huh?
Yeah.
It's like you're not thinking about the mundane things anymore. And
Yeah, that's shifting. Yeah, less and less the
yeah.
mundane. Yeah, every day it's unfolding to more of a higher reality, really. Like, that there, and that experience in itself opened my mind up to the fact that there's so much more out there, and my mind is
But
catching up to that
you
reality.
knew that before though. But you did know that
Yes,
before.
yes, yes, but it's different when you experience it in this way, in community, and in like in Val's retreat, like seeing these beings coming and kind of like saying like, we have your back, like this is not, you're not alone in
Right.
that way.
So
Like
everybody,
this
yeah.
we're here for that. You're here for this. They actually said this is what you were here, you came here to do,
So
and
everybody saw that then. Everyone heard that. Everyone heard.
Yeah,
But
actually, there was someone that was scared out of his
yeah, talk
wits.
about the people who are scared because I think, that's what's holding the frequency at a certain level
Yeah,
is fear.
he was so scared that he was holding on to one of the girls that
What
he
was he
was
afraid of though? I mean, maybe what would
himself.
of himself?
Well, that's
It just to show you that it
what I
was
see.
real.
That's what.
But no, but did he ever get over it?
No,
He did not. So he thinks,
actually, we are all connected deeply in the from the retreat, but he exiled himself. So
did he think what does he think happened? Like, I mean, how does
he
he?
actually told me he came to my Dreamtime sessions. He came to my regular sessions. He always used to come to my stuff, and he told me this time, he says, "I'm not coming to your stuff anymore."
What does he think happened? I mean, it does take a little bit of used to getting comfortable with other realities and all that. That's what I.
Well,
Yeah.
no, not really, Alan,
Well, it
because
does take getting used to. Come on, it does.
it really doesn't. When
Well,
the first time I experienced beings, I was a kid, and I remember I saw a UFO, and I said, "Oh, that's a UFO," and that was it. Like I was like, and I remember telling my mom, I said, "There's a UFO," and
so
by the
what?
time I told her, it was gone.
So why is
And
this
then
guy
yeah, so
scared? I mean, because I think a lot of people would be, if they haven't raised their frequency. But why was this guy scared? Do you think?
when your ego runs so strong, there's so much fear behind that. That's why ego runs, because you need to be in control.
Oh, because if the ego's not in control, the ego. So if the ego encounters something it doesn't know, it
Yes.
freaks out because it's no longer can live in the safe, secure, predictable world.
Right. There's no surrender because ego needs to always be in control. So he freaked out because he had lost control.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he just kind of, I think that's a really good lesson to everyone who's listening is the fact that, we have that side to us. Everybody has an ego, and if we hold on to that, we don't welcome the unknown,
Yes.
the infinite, that the mystery that we're all a part of. And that's why, I love about you and Amy and everybody else who are willing to open up. And that's why I'm doing whatever I'm doing, because I want to know that other realms.
Yeah, well, Alan, actually, now that I'm saying it,
Yes.
that I think that really is the key to opening up to these other beings, other dimensional beings, other planetary beings. You really have to let go of your ego and be in your heart, and be in your heart, because that's when they come.
Right. So are they really, I mean, that's what I asked before. Are they really extraterrestrial, or are they interdimensional?
No, so they were ETs. So they were channeling.
Yes.
Yeah. So they had us channel numbers, and they kept telling one of the guys, say a code, say the code, and he's like, and then all of a sudden he started blurting out a code, and it was like 53105. Is that it, Amy? I can't remember the code now. It was something like that. So so he blurred, and then he blurred out another code, and it was like 31 something else. I forget, but I forget 7. I think it was. I don't know. I forget. Then he blurred out another code, and then so one of the guys there, which actually his name is Aaron. He's going to come up next. You might want to bring him up for this one. He started writing. Yeah, he started writing down the codes. And when he wrote down the codes, we took a break after that, because it was so intense. The energy when they come through, it's so intense. It's so strong.
Wait, so they're coming through somebody who's channeling them. Is that what you're saying?
So it was a whole thing. It was a whole dynamic, right? They had almost all of us do something. They had someone channel like their actual voice. Then they had me, bringing up messages and I was in connection to the keys. I for some reason I held the keys, and I had to open it in somebody else who was Carl. I had to open up the keys in Carl, and Carl was the one that was chanting. He was chanting. And then we had someone else, her name was Jennifer, and she was the one she was connecting everything like a matrix.
Wow,
for us.
What an amazing weekend.
Oh yeah, and then Aaron was the one. He was like a record keeper. He was taking all.
Okay,
Aaron's
notes. On the line.
Yeah, it's good timing on Aaron.
Yeah, so I want to know how he knew what to do. I mean, that's the fascinating part,
So, do you remember when I told you? I told everyone, let's go back into your past lives.
Right.
I actually said, let's go back into your past lives, into ancient Egypt and Atlantean time. And because I knew they were connected to me that way, because I have that connection. There's Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. Thanks for coming on the show. So, Val, you were just saying when you went back to ancient Egypt in that lifetime, you were a record keeper then, a scribe?
Yeah, well, when we had the dream experience, I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I forgot that a lot of times dreams can be symbolic and not literal. And my experience in the dream, which I only remembered like 5 minutes of, but it was this 5 minutes that was key, was I was in a record store, just like Tower Records or something. And
right.
I didn't know why I was there, and then I woke up and everyone went around the room and told their experiences, and I mentioned that. And right away Val said, "Oh, that probably meant you were the record keeper." And then it clicked for me. That made sense. It was like all symbolic.
Oh. So when this stuff started to channel through these people, you just went into that kind of way of thinking? Is that what happened?
I wasn't thinking of it as record keeping at the time, but when Carl was saying the numbers, I I was like, oh, I have to pick up my notepad and write this down because I thought it was important to record whatever happened and then try to piece it together at the end, like as a puzzle. And so I wrote down the numbers he was saying, and yeah, one of them was 53015, and the first thing we noticed was that was the date the day before.
Oh.
But then the interesting part was I was sitting there with the notepad while you were across the circle from me, so you saw it upside down, and you read the number upside down, and you said, "Oh, it says Sirius."
It
So
says
then,
Sirius?
so we
Like
kind of
when
made the
you...
connection. Yeah, like the planet
How
Sirius
does it say...
in the
How does it
star.
say Sirius? If you hold the numbers
Oh.
upside down?
Yes, Alan.
Because
So,
the five looks like
Aaron
S's.
wrote down, yeah, the 5's an S.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
I was saying, Sirius. I go, Sirius. It's Sirius. They're from Sirius.
Oh. And that's pretty amazing.
Amazing.
How were you feeling at the
that they were
time,
thinking-
Aaron? What?
Well, I wasn't feeling that much. I mean, I definitely felt the intense energy in the room. I didn't have any beings come into me like some of the people did who were channeling, but I was I just had the feeling like, oh, I got to write all this down and figure out what it means. So I didn't feel much, but I was just like there to record the events, and but I did see the lights outside the window that everyone saw.
You did? You saw the lights?
Yeah. Yeah.
What did you
And,
can you describe those lights? Because I think everyone sees it differently. What did you see?
When I saw them, like I thought they were fireflies at first, but I thought they looked kind of big for fireflies. And I also knew it was much colder that night than when they usually come out, so I thought that was a little odd. And then everyone else saw them too, but other people saw them like changing color and shape and stuff. I think I wasn't looking when that happened. I looked a little too late or something, but I did see them.
So you saw, and was that the first time you saw ships?
I don't think so, actually. It's the first time I remember. When I was a little kid, I must have been around 2 or 3. And I don't know where it came from. I just used to do it instinctively. I would look up at the night sky and I would chant the words ga ma over and over. And my dad said one night I was in the window doing that, and all of a sudden I asked him, what are all those lights outside? And he didn't get up to look because he figured it was probably a car or something. And he says he wishes he got up and looked because the next morning we went out into the yard and it was winter. The snow in the yard was covered with all these lines and intricate designs, like really artistic looking.
Like
there would
crop
be like
circles.
5 lines merging into one. Yeah, it wasn't really. They didn't look really like crop circles, but it was the same kind of idea because there were no footprints, no human traces of any kind. It looked like a laser cut it from above, basically. And so, yeah, seeing these lights outside that we saw at the retreat made me think back to that experience. And
do you think you were taken
wondered,
that
were those the
night?
same beings?
That night when you were young? Did you remember any of that contact that you had?
I don't remember it consciously. I mean, I used to see spirits in the house and stuff. I was definitely more open at that age than when I got older, but I don't remember the ET specifically, but we have it on tape where those designs are in the snow. And so, of course, after this experience at the retreat, I wondered if they were the same beings, since, I mean, it seemed like we were all connected to these beings from Sirius, so I figured that they've probably been connected to us since we were young also.
Wow, do you feel more connected now since the retreat? Or not really?
I haven't experienced those beings since the retreat, but I've been experiencing a lot of energy shifts, and it's hard to tell what shifts are from the ET experience and what's from the group work that we did, like the source energy sessions. I think more of it's from the sessions, but I think that both definitely played into it.
Wow, it sounds like an amazing retreat. Sounds like so.
Alan, you were invited.
I know I was doing my own ET experience in California. I was connecting with them out there, and I think
weird, yeah, in a strange way, Alan, I feel like that it was connected because, and you were the thread because when I called you when you were out there,
right.
No, you were calling me. And while you were calling me, your name popped up, but the phone wasn't ringing. The phone was talking to me. It was going, you, like that.
Really?
So it was the ETs talking through, they jumped on the line so they could have a continuing the conversation, I guess,
Well, like now you and Aaron and Amy are on the line. Do you feel like they're here now? Are they trying to communicate something to us now?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
I feel
What?
I keep getting this message here on Skype, and I don't know where it's coming from.
What is it? What is it?
Val, what do you feel? I feel a message.
Well,
There's a video message that's trying to come through. I don't know
Well,
where it's
just
coming
describe
from.
it. What are you feeling, Amy?
Well, before when you guys were talking, I did feel some kind of soul language wanting to come out, but maybe that's just the source energy.
yeah, I was just gonna say that. When I get start talking about these things, the energy starts coming up immediately. It's just like a click, and so maybe you're tapping into that. However, I do feel a lot of energy in my heart, which could be, and in my skull, which could be the connection to them. You can like I said, you could always call them down. I even told these guys the other night, we had a video conference, and I said, you guys, you're always connected to them, and you can always call them down. It's up to you if you want to call them down.
Well, are you feeling the energy now too, Val?
Yeah, I always feel like this.
So, Amy, if you had some soul language to come through, do you want to share the soul language?
I'm shy.
Maybe Val can help activate you. Val, can you help?
Okay, ready.
Ready.
Ingre kilikamdre aklikiki tre yaklikamdri kiri aklikya irumdi ne aklai ha him ne umde tre hi era klikamde yo yo yumdi si hi alekra.
Wow. Are those the ETs, you think? Or your soul language? Well, there's more. Sorry. Go ahead, Val. Do it one more time, Val.
Kiri yumdi hai si aklikki go kikamdir klikamdi aklikki klikamdi hu klikamdi klikamdi hu klikamdi aklikki klikamdi klikamdi
How do you feel from that, Aaron? You getting anything?
I felt like it was almost two different energies the two times she did it.
Yeah, they were.
I feel a
more
vibrational
vibe on the
increase,
second
though.
one. I felt like the first one was more her, and the second one was more ET.
Yeah.
A higher frequency, a different vibration.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're like...
I had to go through my soul first to get to that other one. I have no idea what happened.
Well, that's good. And I think because they're languages we can't understand, we have to feel it. That's the key to soul languages, I think.
Yeah, soul language is connected to everything and everyone. So, once you tap into that, that doorway, it opens up all the other doors.
But so did you feel like Amy's soul language was part of the ETs you met over the weekend, Val?
Say that again now? I'm sorry.
Do you feel what Amy just brought through were part of those ETs you met over the weekend?
The ETs are always usually the same. At least that's been my experience. People are usually connected to a certain group. I feel like I've been connected to the Syrians for a very long time. They came in to my room, actually, again, Alan. It's funny. We have such a funny connection. But again, it was after we went to go see Colin Andrews when he, right, with the crop circles.
I was speaking about crop circles with Colin Andrews. Yes,
that's right. And I drove you home, right?
Right.
And Ashim,
right.
And then that night when I went home myself, I had two tall beings come into my room. And then after I spoke to someone, they told me that is very common for Syrians to transform that way.
So, so they sort of started to work with you in a more cohesive way then, right? Would you say?
So they transform into humanoids so that you won't be scared of them. That's not what they want you to do. They don't want you to be scared. They want you to participate. And because they don't want to harm you.
No, they don't want to harm you. And I just got back, like we were saying, from a big conference, 2,500 people, called Contact in the Desert in Joshua Tree, California. There were amazing UFO researchers, really the top people in the world, lots of experiencers. There's a guy named Jeff Andrews there who had this total ET awakening after being a vet in the war and being really depressed and sort of suicidal. He sees these lights that just open his heart, and it's on video. I'm going to post that. A total transformative experience. But what and I hosted a panel on this crossover idea between spirituality and ET contact, and it's still a bit of a disconnect for some people. How would you connect, because you've had these spiritual experiences, and now you've had these ET experiences? How do you connect those two different streams?
Alan, it really isn't two different streams. If you're going to look at the highest, at the highest perspective, they are us and we are them. We're all one. There's nothing separate from us and them. If you want to come down into lower realities, lower dimensions, then you can say, okay, well, they are coming from a star system where they need to share higher consciousness, and that's really what they're trying to do.
But no, go ahead.
And so, I mean, the Syrians, we were all Syrians at some point. That is our origin. From Syria.
I know. I just want to say, we sort of speak the same language or have the same understanding of everyone on the phone here. Because, I mean, even the people new to this and now. But do you realize, I know, of course you realize there's a whole world out there that has no idea. I mean, you just turn on the news and, talk to people on the street. I mean, we're sort of representing a sort of fringe consciousness here.
Yeah, it's true.
But we understand each other, which is also pretty amazing, because if we were all crazy, we probably wouldn't understand each other.
Well, the thing is, most people don't even think ETs exist.
Right.
Like there are no other life forms on other planets. I mean, really?
So that's why this represents such a huge new reality, because not only do they exist, but they're here and they're communicating with people like us.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's a huge paradigm shift across the board that is probably going to take a couple of 100 years to really integrate into the general public. You realize that?
Yeah.
So
I think, but
if it ever,
I don't think the ETs will even need to come here after when we've shifted. They're really coming here just to shift our consciousness to a higher frequency, to a higher place. That's it. I mean, otherwise they really don't need to come here. They're just doing work. And, a lot of their message when they came through, they were laughing at us. They were telling us, wake up, wake up.
Who was
really,
was someone channeling?
Yeah,
that?
someone was channeling that, and they were saying, "Wake up, wake up," and it wasn't just for one person; it was for the whole group. And they're speaking to humanity, and they're just frustrated with us that we are here, and they want us to be in a higher position in a higher state of consciousness because they've been waiting for so long, and actually one of the people in the group, they were saying our minutes are their months, right?
Our minutes. So so they're existing at a much faster time rate, you're saying?
Much slower time rate.
Slower.
So our minutes are their months. So every minute that goes by for them is a month for them. So they've been waiting for billions and trillions of years for us to wake up, and so they know it's right there. And when we shift our consciousness, we light up. And so we become like light beams on the planet, and they come to you. They come to you, and then therefore that's why they want to communicate and take you and show you things. And when those two tall beings took me up to their star planet, they showed me. I went into this crystal city, and when I saw the crystal city, they were explaining to me all these things, like how they said you're going to shift into higher consciousness. You need to spread this message. You need to do work. We're going to send you messages many times. So now, I was telling everyone that this was a download. This retreat was told to me. Like I was saying, the divine was telling me to have this retreat. Now, it was probably the beings, but they're divine. They're part of the divine order. They're part of.
But do you think? I mean, without Abdi, you would not have been open to the energies in the first place. Is that
right? Of course, but
so it's like
everything's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right. No,
right?
but I'm just saying it's been a process for you.
It's a process. Yes, of course it is.
And now you're opening to another level. That's how we began this program. Is like this new. So you did the Abdi, and now these ETs are starting to really interact with your consciousness.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Like again, they became before Abdi, and that was really like my part of, like I would say, my spiritual experiences. But I didn't make anything of them. But then with Abdi, I started experiencing it my own. It was my own. I like to say my life was like a sci-fi movie because I was experiencing so much energy. Just the other day, I had Divine Mother come through me and give me downloads. So I'm constantly integrating new energies, new frequencies, higher consciousness, and it's a process. It's a process. But the thing is,
do you ever ask yourself why you? I mean, how do you?
Yeah, of course.
And what do you think? Why? I mean, eventually every one of us, but yes.
I say, why me? But then you know what happens? I said, there is no me. I'm part of everyone, and everyone's part of me. I'm just acting out as me right now.
But I do think this is going to happen to everyone. I see that future where we have a planet of awakened beings.
Yeah. Oh,
there's also
we have somebody else.
Do you know? Was he at the retreat too, Raja?
Yes.
Oh well, let's get him on the line too. I'd love to hear his ideas.
Yes, me too.
So, Amy and Aaron and Rajav, are you there?
Rajiv.
Rajiv.
Yep.
Hey,
Rajiv, what was your experience? Thanks for calling. What was your experience this weekend?
um, it was just amazing. Like, with the session that we had at the sanctuary, like I never experienced something like that. With
What was your
the channeling.
experience, though? What was the experience for you?
Well, it was mainly the channeling, like when the beings were channeling.
Yeah. What did you? What did you feel? What did you sense?
But the message that I got from what they said was, what that I remembered was, they were saying that there's no space, no time to drop the ideas.
Right.
That's what the beings were saying.
Did well, you were pretty open to this before, weren't you? Huh?
Thank you. Yeah, well, I do a lot of readings, but it didn't really affect me much. Like, I kind of accepted it.
But the reading and the experience. Once you have the experience like that, were you channeling at all?
No, I wasn't fun.
Did you feel like there was a message coming to you anyway?
Yeah, but what they were saying.
Yes, Rajiv.
Yes, you said, Val?
Yes. So
What was-
Rajiv was, well, I was telling you about this crystal city. Now, all of a sudden, Carl out of nowhere goes, we need to collect all of our crystals and create a crystal grid. So while they were doing that, I kind of just laid down because the energy was too intense, and they were building this crystal grid. So I wake up, I get up, and I look at it, I say, oh, very nice, guys. And then Rajiv is looking at it, and he goes, you know, guys, this looks like a brain. He goes, this looks like a brain. This looks like the pineal glands, and this is the this, and he's like the different chambers, and I'm like, wow, that's very interesting because it does actually, and then you know, that really opened something up, and for all of us, and then all of a sudden somebody else said, wow, there's something called a crystal palace in your brain.
Oh.
And this is something that Max Christensen talks about.
Right. I like that.
And
Brilliant.
so they connected all that for us. And I mean, after that, so much energy came through. That's when I took the pictures.
Do you think the brain of everyone there was starting to be affected? Like,
yes.
Resonant frequency. You know, when you have a shape, it resonates with other shapes. You know?
First of all, that was their focus, because that's actually where they work. The ETs, they don't work in the heart. They don't work in the heart center. They work in the mind, and that's and so that's what they did for us. They shifted our mental, I don't want to say capacity, but our mental state. Yeah,
shifted your brain, really, right?
Yeah, they shifted our brain. Yeah, I mean, even Amy was saying, she's like, I felt something in my brain. I mean, really, they were. Like, my head felt like it was going to explode.
So
that's how much energy was going through.
Well, you guys are like pioneers in the wilderness, chopping away at the forest to uncover like something new. It's quite an adventure you guys, all of you were on. And there were, how many of you?
There were 9 of us, right?
How many of us were we? Yeah, we were 9.
9?
Including you, Val, right?
Including me. Mm-hmm.
Right. They call that the Council of 9, you know? I mean, there is something called the Council of 9, you know, Galactic Federation.
You know, everything that happened on that weekend was all planned out perfectly. Like, for example, my daughter, she started drawing out of nowhere. You know, she's 2.5 years old.
Was she there too?
She was there, yes, and so were my parents.
Your parents were at the weekend too?
Yes, but they didn't participate on the last night.
Oh, so they missed the ET stuff, huh?
Yeah, but in a way, they had their own experience when they were staying at the house.
Well, did you tell them what happened to you?
They did. Yes, and they believe. They believe me because I've been telling this. I've been telling them about ETs coming to me for years
now, because they're sort of an old world. I mean, they're nice people, but
yeah,
they're kind of an old
they are.
world.
They are old world. You're right.
Yeah.
No, they're so open now because they just know what I've experienced, what I can give to others as an experience.
But the whole ET thing is like being blasted wide open. I think hopefully next week I'm going to interview this guy, Ray Hernandez in Florida, who didn't believe any of this stuff up until 2012. And boom, he saw ships, his wife, and it's like he's now started a huge ET website called experiencer.co. And he's totally into it. And,
that's what happens.
A new wave, it seems, of people awakening just at this time. I mean, this was the conference I was in, Joshua Tree, was the largest UFO gathering on the planet, and it's growing. Everyone said they want to come back and bring their friends. There's a movement happening, but it's not just about little green men. It's about us.
Yeah, it's about us. Yeah.
And that's the big shift, I think. And so all of you guys are shifted. I feel you're not the same people that you probably were before the retreat. I don't know. What do you think?
Definitely not.
Rajiv, how have you changed?
Well, for me, like, I'm having more vivid dreams. Like
like what? Can you share your dreams a little bit with us?
It's more fear-based, really. Like, I guess.
Well, that stuff comes up until you get through it. Yeah, I understand. It's okay. Just be with it. It'll pass. But like, what? Yeah, I mean, that's I think what Val said. The ego arising, saying, trying to sort out these new realities. But, yeah, that's a good sign. I think
more connected.
But so they're like scary dreams, nightmare type dreams.
Yeah, some of them.
Well, I think you're just waking up to these realities, and once you go through that level and the ego personality shifts, then you start to make peace with those places, and a whole new world opens up from there.
Yeah. I also went through that myself.
I went through that too. I'm still like going, it's still like...
Yeah, it's a process.
Well, but we're not taught any of this. It's so foreign to our culture. But what you're saying?
Well, when you have nightmares, it's a letting go process. It's trying to release those programs in your mind.
Right.
And so sometimes when they come so frequently, it's for that reason.
Yeah, and also to look at the fear that's in the way of us totally, because if we didn't have that fear, we'd totally be merged with these beings, I think.
Well, we are, in a way.
We are, and I think...
So I took a picture of the room right before we were going to sleep. So it was completely black in the room. No lights outside. We're in the middle of the woods, so there's no lights whatsoever. And I take a picture with no flash. I just keep clicking because my camera doesn't take pictures unless there's light in the room. The camera actually tells you there's no light, so we can't take a picture. So I just kept clicking. I said, okay, I don't care. I know it's gonna take something, and it took 2 pictures in 15 minutes. And it did. Oh. And so those 2 pictures, the one picture, there's literally it looks like a lightning bolt in the middle of the room, and energy, literally it looks like, I don't know, somebody drew energy lines all over the floor where we had our crystal grid. And then the second one was the lightning bolt was even longer. It was elongated. And then we had beings all over the room. It looked like a cloud of like a clouds in the room, like smoke. But then on the right hand corner there was a face of a Syrian being, and actually Dr. Greer had found one of these skeletons of a Syrian being, and other people as well, on planet Earth. So it was identical. The face is identical to the skeleton of the Syrian being, and very small, just identical. And so it was nice confirmation.
Well, it's coming through so strongly now, everything, and I think people listening to this show probably will want to go on your next retreat. Are you planning something? Oops. Hello? Doug? Okay, I'll try. Should I get it back? Let me see if I can get. Well, you get it back. Anyway, I've been talking to Valerie Tignini about this incredible development that just happened in upstate New York. Where are any of the callers on the line right now?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, we just lost Val for a second, but so would you want to do something else, Amy? Would you want to do another retreat?
Totally. It's like whenever you go into the unknown like that and have no expectation and just being open to it. Some fears can come up, but it's so worth it after when you go through it and you go to one of these retreats. It's amazing. Like, it's magical, really, what happens. I had no idea that was going to happen. I'm really happy I went.
Wow. It does sound
like
fantastic. Yeah.
Cool. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying it seemed like everything that played out there was just perfect, too. Like, the whole schedule was changed at the last minute because of weather, but the sequence everything happened in and where we all were at different times just all played into each other perfectly. So we all had this sense that, we were all supposed to be there ahead of time, and everything that happens is kind of pre-planned.
So do you think, it would be hard to go back to another retreat without having expectations? I mean, how would you approach another retreat, you think, Aaron?
Well, part of me might think of kind of starting where we left off, because with the ET thing, we're still figuring out clues, and also with this energy work, it's a continuing process. So I feel like it would just kind of accelerate whatever stage we're all at the time.
Even if there were new people there, even if there were new people coming into the retreat.
Well, I think it would change a little bit. Like, if there's new people, I think the whole overall group dynamic would change, but I think only people would be led to it that were harmonious with all of us anyway. So I feel like their energy would bring something new to us and vice versa.
Aaron, you remember when you said that there's probably more of us out there that were that they're probably very connected to us and to the work itself. So I'm sure that. Huh?
No, that's good. No, what did you mean by that, Aaron? Talk about that.
Oh, well, I meant that there were 9 of us in the group at that point, and but I feel like you were saying that there's such a huge awakening happening right now. I feel like groups are finding each other, and that maybe it was the time for the 9 of us to come together, but maybe in the future, other people will kind of catch up to this frequency or match our frequency and be drawn to this group as well, and maybe it'll grow.
So in a way, though, I think what I got is that you had to build the energy. This happened the last night, so you were building the energy for a day, 2 days before like this breakthrough to these other levels can happen, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it seemed almost like
Everything.
like we all had to work through our own like personal blocks and get certain fears and energy blockages out of the way so that these beings would be ready to come through to us. It was almost like preparing us for it.
Right. So it's like that's what's going to happen if you guys decide to go back, and you have to keep building the energy, you know.
Yeah, I feel like the more you purify it, and then the more energy can come through you, and the more open you are to receiving messages and downloads.
Yeah. But that's exciting. I do feel like there's been this permanent shift now, right?
Well, yeah, it keeps changing, but
totally.
for
I
sure.
think the shifts have been permanent, and like the people that are attracted to this work would feel attracted for a reason, and it'll be equivalent to what happened with us. That will happen to the new people. Like it's just a different experience for them. And I think that and I think that like a lot of new beings and people will start opening up to this new reality, which everyone has already, and
Right.
and these shifts feel very, very deep, very on a deep level, like deep healing. Like a lot of people go to therapists for 10 years to get this type of healing, and we got it in a weekend.
Point. It was very. No, Amy, that's a really good point. The healing aspect of this. Talk about that a little bit more. The healing.
Like it feels like the blocks. Like we went through a lot of work before the beings, right? And it's all connected. So we went through, releasing a lot of fears and a lot of blocks and a lot of things that we no longer need in our lives, and that prepared us to be able to connect to these beings. Now the beings were like an extra, it was like a surprise from the universe and from God and Source for us. But the healing itself was so deep. It was in a deep level that many people go to, to therapists or to healers for years and years to get the type of healing that we got in this retreat, because we got extra help from.
But what kind of healing? What aspects of you were healed? Like what parts were healed?
What I feel in a personal level is that my mind there's a lot of more clarity in my mind. And as Val mentioned, like the beings worked on the mind level, and I do feel that like as soon as the beings came in, I felt a shift in my mind received something from like energy from the beings as soon as they came into the space.
Wow.
And and then after that, like it was just a lot of openings, a lot of opening. I feel like maybe that chakra opened up or something for me. A lot of more open-mindedness about many things, especially now ETs. I wasn't really into this type of stuff, but I was, it opened me up, and now it's kind of, it's very different. It's new.
What about you, Aaron? Did you have a healing of sorts?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the sessions we did and the that homework assignment we did, I definitely felt like it helped to kind of, like it opened up certain blocks for me. Like the mental blocks correspond with blockages in the energy in your body too. So when you clear some of those mental blocks, it allows the energy to flow through better. And I felt a huge release, particularly in my solar plexus, because I guess that's where some of the issues I had were stored. And so I felt kind of overwhelmed when that energy started to come in. But then I kind of just relaxed and came in, and I felt like a huge upgrade and healing. And actually happened to me again a little bit yesterday and today. It's kind of an ongoing thing. Like the sessions we did kind of sparked the healing process, and I feel like it's been ongoing since then.
Wow. So you keep tapping into the energies and it keeps upgrading you, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what about
it would be too much for it to all happen at once, but it's kind of happening in stages through dreams.
Yeah, it's like installing new software. You have to do it in a sequence.
Yeah.
And what about you, Rajiv? Have you had like a healing or an upgrade or something like that? Or no? Or did we lose him? Anyway, maybe he's gone. But Val, welcome back.
Thank you. I was supposed to be thrown off, I guess.
We lost you for a few minutes.
Yeah.
But, well, I think it's incredible work all of you have done. And so what's next, Val? Where do you want to take everybody?
Well, I'm already getting more downloads that I'm supposed to do more work. I was getting information that I had to do it right away. And I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to do this right away? And then out of nowhere, I just felt like I had to turn on the television, and I'm flipping through the channels and I see Stonehenge. And I'm like, okay, I'm not going to England. I'm not going to England. And then it went into America's Stonehenge, and I never even knew America had Stonehenge.
Where is the American Stonehenge?
In New Hampshire. And they're having a summer solstice special, like, opening day for that. It starts at 5 a.m. and it finishes at in the evening.
What day is that?
It's June 21st. And I've invited this crew to the summer solstice in New Hampshire. Aaron's coming, I think Amy's coming, and I have a few other people coming that are new. So I think that the beings, they really want me to start bringing in as many people as I can, and I know that, I never want to go in this direction, but I think it'll be part of it, part of my work. And I know that I'm supposed to do another one, another big retreat really soon. Not so far ahead. I think sometime in the next 4 months or so. I still haven't received the download, but even the numbers, right? The numbers 5-3, was it 0-1-5? Yeah. Those numbers were the date of the retreat. It was May 30th, 2015. So we did the work on they came to us May 31st, 2015. But May 30th, 2015 is what the date was, what the number, it was also the code that they gave us. And it also was their way of communicating to us that they were from Sirius. So it was all connected. And it was a beautiful confirmation for me that I wasn't just making it up, that I was getting these downloads, that I had to have this retreat. And I kept saying to myself, oh, is it going to cancel? Is it going to cancel? Because enough people were signed up for some reason. 7 people signed up, and then those 7 people canceled. And I'm like, what? How could 7 people sign up and then 7 people cancel? And then all of a sudden, I get these new 7 people.
Right.
So it was all, the dynamic of the whole retreat was mysterious.
But it also seems like, with everyone on the line here, that it's a real group process, that everyone is bringing through a piece that contributes to the whole, which I think is how it goes. So,
of course. And it's very symbolic, it's very symbolic how the group has to get together and figure out the pieces of the puzzle, because that's what we were doing. It was like a kind of, I feel like someone says, it's like the Goonies. Did you ever see the movie The Goonies?
No.
It was like, I know, I think we had this conversation before. And so it's like, kind of like kids thinking making up all kinds of clues to figure out where the treasure is. That's basically what it felt like. And because they were giving us the clues and through downloads. And it was, honestly, I don't think anyone could. What we experienced was very special, very special. Usually people have experiences on their own, maybe with their spouse or their very close partner. But to have a group dynamic like this, when we were all doing work and we were all part of the puzzle, it was really special, actually, really special.
Imagine a whole planet where everyone was tuned into those frequencies and everyone working together to get these like clues of this higher awakening. Can you just imagine what that would be like?
Actually, Alan, everything that we do now, all the work is basically groundwork for what's to come. And yes, you know what? Maybe you're actually tapping into some truth of there, actually, because it will happen that way.
Well, that's why I'm doing this program, because I'm trying to network, and what we're all doing is trying to, wake other people up, because other people have a clue that only they can have.
That's right.
And
that's right. The keys. So the keys are very symbolic. We all carry the keys. We all carry the keys.
But we all need each other's keys, I think, for the thing to really click in.
That's right, because it's a collective.
It's like Horton Hears a Who, It wasn't until the littlest Who had screamed that the rest of the town would hear Whoville.
Right.
Did you see that? So it's like that. We all need to wake up so we could all go to another level, because we're all collectively in the field. And so I do see a planetary civilization where this kind of conversation is common.
Yeah, but actually it's beyond. It would be actually a bore to even talk about these kind of conversations, because we're already past it. We're like you said, we're on the fringe. We're on the fringe, and we're like right there where we're actually about to flip onto the other side. And so once we're on the other side, who wants to talk about what's behind us, right?
Nobody wants to read yesterday's news, even on the other side. But anyway,
exactly.
we still have a bit of work to go through to get to that other side. And I think what's really fun, and for everyone on the call here, I think it's really, really exciting. Don't you guys?
Yeah, definitely. It is exciting. Totally. It's exciting times that we're living in. And you know what? It goes to show you, like someone that on this retreat that came with an open mind, and he was all, he's all about sending out energy, and he thought that he was better than everyone else. He was the one that was scared, and he copped out of the whole thing. Then we have another guy who had just came for relaxation, and he just blossomed like a lotus flower. And it was so beautiful for me to see that, and very interesting for me to see the other side. And so I feel like our little group was like a small like model of the planet itself.
I hope I'm not the guy that freaks out next time.
No, Alan, but you definitely have to come next time.
I would love to. And everyone listening.
Yes,
as well.
I told you had to come.
Well, I was there doing my own thing, but
I know. It's all perfect. It's all perfect timing.
It is, because we're all holding down like different aspects of the new frequency of the matrix. So any final words, Amy? Do you have anything to say as we wrap up here?
I'm just very grateful that I was there in that experience, and it totally opened my mind up to like new possibilities. It just new realities.
Thanks. You said the magic word, so you
you get a lollipop.
Thank you for sharing your communication and frequencies.
Oh, thanks. Thank you for receiving.
Thank you, Amy.
And how about you, Aaron? Or what's the new codes look like?
New codes? Well, I haven't gotten literal codes yet since then, but we probably will. But for me, what I've been experiencing is, each day since then, I feel like I've been experiencing a new level of shift in myself, particularly today. And, I'm just really grateful that this event happened and we were all able to meet up. And,
Well,
find
it's
each
so
other.
important. That I just want to say that because it happened in a group and not just individually, there's a real support in that, and you can have confidence in that this is real. That's what
Yeah.
I see.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like anytime challenges might come up or anything, or just if we want to share experiences with each other, we can do that. And I feel like it kind of accelerates the process for all of us. Because, we
Right.
can all bring
Yeah.
our different pieces together.
We're merging
Connect
into a
there,
group
too.
mind. We're seeing aspects of each other in this group field, and
Very good, Alan. Yep.
yeah. Well, that's
true.
what's happening. That's what I get from your crew here.
Yeah, like I was saying, we're the model. We're the future model.
Yeah,
of-
well, it's
of the planet.
unfolding. I don't know if the model's been built yet, but it's.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's
But-
just unfolding. Yeah.
But wait,
it's a
when he's
process.
Rajiv, what's it look like for you? What's the future look like from your perspective?
It's a process. Like it's the path is, keep progressing and working as a group. I feel like this retreat really, opened my eyes.
But do you also get like the process of trusting your own mind and maybe you call it imagination or own consciousness even more? Do you get that?
Yes. Yep.
Like letting your intuition guide you into things that maybe you may not have allowed yourself to be in before this retreat?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, because suddenly you're not just reading about it, you're in it, Rajiv. You're it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
Yep. That's what I tell these guys.
so that's what I feel is the level of excitement. We're not like reading about it. It's not
That's
ancient
right.
histories. It's not in the Vedas or in the
Right.
Bible
Right.
or any of these ancient books. Revelation is
Or in that-
happening to
yeah.
us.
Or in the the future where people talk about all the
Right,
the
2012 or
prophecies. And it's right here. It's
2025.
right now. Yeah. It's right here. It's right now.
That's Revelation is right now, and the revelation is that we're more than who we thought we were. That's what I think Revelation is.
Yes. We're more who we thought we were. But
Yeah.
we're all of it.
No, I think it's really, really exciting times.
I could.
Yes, what were you saying, Val?
I think that was Amy.
Oh, Amy, what were you saying? You could what?
I was saying yes. I resonate with that. What you guys are saying.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we're on a wave. We're on like the cutting edge of a wave, and it's like we don't. And I think the future is unfolding, and this is my just things I see in a way that it has no reference to the past or anything that we've known.
Mm-hmm.
And people who want to hold on to the old will go into fear. But if you're riding the wave,
Mm-hmm.
it's like the wind is in your hair, and it's like you're right. We're right there, seeing the unknown as it unfolds into form.
Yes. It's true.
So that's it. So
it's really wild. It's really wild.
It is a wild ride, but it's like yes,
So we all have to jump on the bandwagon. Otherwise, we're just going to stay where we are.
George Bush in one of his stupid moments said the future will be better tomorrow, and I think I think that's true. Even though he didn't know what he was saying, but I think it's true.
Most intelligent thing
Obviously,
ever said.
yes.
So, I think it's like that. I think something. I think.
So actually, with that said, speaking of the future, I do want to have another retreat, another soul rising retreat.
Mm-hmm.
It will be soon. I haven't confirmed it yet, but I want to invite everyone. And if I invite everyone, I know only those who are meant to come are supposed to come.
And can we find out about this on your website or something?
Yes, on my website, valsecrets.com. And you can also, I'm on all of the social medias, so you can find me there also. But yes, if you have any questions, you can always email me also, valsecrets@gmail.com. So
Right. Well, thank you, Val. And
yeah, thank you, Alan.
all
It
the
was fun. It's always fun talking to you.
Well, I think it's like we're all discovering something together.
Yes, we are.
So I'm excited about your retreats. And when are you going up to New Hampshire this week? Oh, the
We're going,
solstice.
yeah, next week on the solstice. I'm actually having a past lives session on the 13th in New York City.
Oh, right.
And it's kind of like what I did on the retreat. And people are like, why do I need to know my past lives? Because that's the link to your consciousness.
I mean, I think you do. My opinion about past lives is if there's like something incomplete, but I think it does help connect us to know that we're eternal beings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the future is even more exciting than the past, even though it's all happening at the same time. But for people,
That's right. It's
people
all
who need
happening.
to know their, and I think everyone does. I mean, I went through that, and I really am happy I did.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah. When you activate your past lives, which is really not your past lives, it's all happening simultaneously. You are tapping into your other consciousness. You're always in this, in all the lifetimes. Your consciousness is always in those, in every single lifetime. You see it as the past, but it's really not the past. And then what happens is that activation brings forth higher consciousness to you in that present moment.
right.
So,
No,
in this lifetime.
Well,
and then there's all kinds of healings and connections. Like Aaron, he's looking at the record store. He had no clue what that meant, but I linked it for him. And now he's starting to feel his power of being a record keeper. And that in itself builds up, it brings you to higher consciousness.
Right. Yeah, I guess the gifts of our souls qualities can unfold in a past life review.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's happened for me, and that's the only reason why I'm doing it for other people. I've seen my past lives, again, we're calling it past lives. I see my other lives, and that connection has actually bring forth so much healing and so much acceleration to my spirituality.
Right. No, I think there's something to that. I mean, I'm interested in moving into the future as well,
Well,
I mean,
you can also go into the future as well.
It's all exciting. It's all really, really exciting. So thank you, Val and Val Secrets and Amy and Aaron and Rajiv for being part of this 2-hour forum here, which I think, people listening.
It's still not enough.
No, but it gives people a taste, and I could even post this on YouTube, and this will be archived, and people can just go to BBS Radio or iTunes. I'm all over iTunes, so I think this is the beginning of a planetary awakening that's starting to accelerate or coming on to everybody.
That's right.
So,
it's here and the now. It's time for us to wake up.
I can't wait to hear more of your stuff, Val.
Thank you. Thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me on. And thank you guys. Thank you, Aaron, Rajiv, and Amy for coming on and giving your experiences.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to have that kind of group confirmation. So it's not just like one person or even two people. It's like when everyone senses the same thing from their own perspective, it's like, wow, something really did happen, and it's not just like a fantasy. So thanks. Okay, I'll be in touch with you, Val, and everybody. And this is Alan Steinfeld for Newrealities. If you want to hear more about this kind of stuff, these kind of awakenings, and other people in their own way talking about spirituality, healing, ETs, you can go to my website, newrealities.com, or you can email me at newrealities@earthlink.net. Thanks for listening. I'd love to hear your feedback out there. So send me an email, newrealities@earthlink.net. Good night.